What you should do right now is go to patreon.com/House of Decline. That's Haus of Decline. For as little as $3 a month, you can get 30 extra comics. It's 10 cents a comic. Crazy deal. Crazy deals you're getting here. For $5 a month, you get the comics plus 4 extra podcasts. That's more jolly voices of me and Steven. And, various guests. Although I don't think we've had any guests on the bonus episodes, except for, our wonderful improv characters that we're always making up. You'll get to experience more time with luminaries such as Highway Jim McCutcheon or the Relieved Scotsman. So many of these characters come up in the bonus podcast, and you're really missing out. Really missing out if you're not listening to them. So go to patreon.com/House of Decline and subscribe.
You should also go to houseofdecline.com and look at all the free content we have. It's all up there for you to enjoy, especially Alex's most recent graphic novel, Together, which you can get at House
You
of
can
Decline.
see the entire thing, yeah. You don't even have to pay for that shit.
No, you don't. It's right up there, and it's in high fidelity. Do they still make comics in high fidelity?
Yeah, they make it. They're called hi-fi comics. You get your comic set up. You get your comic file set up with your. We've converted all the comics into FLACs. We are converting them into FLACs because that has the best comic fidelity.
I love the fidelity. I love listening to your comics in high fidelity.
Yeah, you really gotta like analog comics better. There's more of a warmth to analog comics.
Yeah, there's like that kind of scratchiness. You were talking about that with The Simpsons. Like The Simpsons used to be analog and then they went digital.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not that it's, I made a post about, they reintroduced Jock, the Albert Brooks voiced character from season 1, who nearly cuckolds Homer, but is prevented at the last second by an homage to an officer in The Gentleman. It's really, because that comes from a time in The Simpsons where there was no set standard for any of the designs, and sort of the house style of Klasky Csupo, the studio that was animating it, was to go uglier, as was the case with a lot of 90s cartoons. They had also produced Rugrats and lots of other Nickelodeon cartoons that tacked towards that sort of ugly style. But I really like that ugly style. It's unique. It's more expressive. It's more organic, as I've said before.
But then the personal computer, the revolution of personal computing occurred.
Yeah.
My God. The consequence, we are still dealing with the consequences of there's computers everywhere.
Everyone's lonely. Simpsons isn't as good anymore.
Yeah.
We're all atomized, and now they're going less off model with Homer now, which is a representative of my atomization.
Yeah, Homer is like the totem, that we worship at.
I do. If I were to join any religion, I would join Simpsism.
Well, what are the characteristics of that religion?
It's a lot like Zoroastrianism. It's basically Zoroastrianism, but we're replacing all of the Zoroastrian religious figures with the Simpsons. So, it also spoke Zarathustra? No, also spoke Mo. Come on,
Yeah, well, why don't we replace all of the dialogue in that? That's a book by Nietzsche, not really related. Is it really related to Zoroastrianism that much, or is it just because?
Yeah, Zarathustra or Zoroaster. It's based around the same guy. I don't know shit about Zoroastrianism.
Well, yeah, but it is Nietzsche, so it's like, a guy from the far end of the temporal spectrum writing about it. Let's go to the primary sources. What did the Zoroastrians say about their own shit?
What do the let's hear it right from the Zorce's mouth. What do the Zoroastrians
what do they
say?
have to say for themselves? How do they acquit themselves?
I have known, let me tell you, every Zoroastrian I've ever met has been a class
A class act. Yep.
A goddamn class act. That's
a wonderful group of people. They love me. They love me over there.
They love me. You know, I have many Zoroastrian friends. I've dated Zoroastrian women. Yeah, what is this? We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down to the root of this whole Zoroastrian thing.
Well, I think it's going to help us figure out this whole Simpsons debacle that occurred. You know, when the world started to get bad, that was when the Simpsons started to get bad. You know.
Yeah. Well, because I think what we've done is we've this goddamn postmodernism. You know, the principal beliefs of Zoroastrianism, according to Wikipedia, which is the main text of Zoroastrianism. It has a dualistic cosmology of good and evil within the framework of a monotheistic ontology and an eschatology which predicts the ultimate conquest of evil by good. So, you know, classic hero story. You know, first there's a bad guy, Mr. Burns, then there's Homer, and then, you know, good triumphs over evil every time.
That's the story. That is the story of The Simpsons. It's Homer constantly beating Mr. Burns.
Yeah, he's always winning. He's always winning against Mr. Burns.
Always.
Yeah. And Homer is, of course, pure good. He is a symbol of pure light in this universe.
I mean, is that what so that's kind of what The Simpsons have become. But that's not how you were saying that's not how they started out.
Actually, I think The Simpsons Homer has become like a worse, less likable character over time. Because in the Simpsons fandom, they refer to it as jerk-ass Homer. Whereas, you know, in seasons 1 to 8, Homer's like a little dumb, but he's still like a human. But they made him and he's like capable of compassion, love for his children. You know, he's capable of making the right decision, of making genuinely moral decisions. But as the show went on, Homer became more and more exaggerated to the point where he's dumb and selfish, and that became his driving characteristic. And his redeeming qualities became less apparent.
That's called jerk-ass Homer?
Jerk-ass Homer.
Now,
season 9 people start.
Who came up with that? Who came up with jerk-ass Homer?
I think it comes from the episode where Homer joins the cult and he goes, "Out of my way, jerk-ass," which is a funny joke. But that sort of is indicative of what became of his character. He is just sort of like a brash, rude child, as opposed to like a put upon everyman as he was in the earlier seasons.
Well, I googled jerk-ass Homer, and here we go is a Reddit post from about 8 months ago. And the Reddit post is "Jerk-ass Homer is dead?" ? Here's the post. I came across this video that makes the argument that jerk-ass Homer is dead, and that the era of jerk-ass was only prevalent during a small section of the show's history. I was curious on what Jack and Dan's opinion of this video would be. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Someone named Jack and Dan that I'm not going to do free promos for.
Fuck you, Jack and Dan.
Listen, Jack and Dan, if you want me to promote your fucking thing, email me at houseofdecline@gmail.com. Okay, we'll work out a deal.
Yeah, we'll do some promos for Jack and Dan. Little ditty about Jack and Dan. See, I'm already doing it. This is how good we are at advertising for Jack and Dan.
Jack and Dan, email us. The deal will be sweet. Plenty of.
I'll have myself a Jack and Daniels. That's when you're jacking off while drinking whiskey by the bottle.
That's pretty.
Have you
cool.
ever had a Jack and Daniels?
I can't say I have done that. No, I would not. I've done something close.
Were you drinking beer while jerking off?
No, I was driving though. Definitely driving and drinking beer at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's what we call a Bruce Springsteen.
I called it literally drinking and driving.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. Everybody does it now. It's
okay.
Not,
well, so the thing about it was, I didn't start off drunk. I got drunk like. I didn't start drunk when I was driving. I cracked open a 12, well, I guess a case, a Yinglings with my buddy, whom a mutual friend, whom you know, who was like, "Oh man, this is great. I can't drive because I got a DUI." And I was like, "I know what you need. You need to go drinking and driving."
Well, you never crashed, so it's like it never happened.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't crash. There's several people I hit and maimed forever.
Yeah, they're gone.
And I'm still paying. I'm paying out the nose on my settlement. I have to do monthly payments. It's like I'm paying like crazy amounts and damages.
Yeah,
So
that's why we started this podcast.
Right.
That's why we need the monthly Patreon money. It's because we have to keep paying settlements to all the people that you killed and maimed with your drunk
and
driving.
I keep doing it too.
All the children. Yeah,
I keep drinking and driving too. I don't care. I don't care that I owe the government and all these people money. I can't be stopped.
Think about what you've created. Now there's a whole Victims of Stephen community, and they get together, they play board games, and, they talk about their lives.
Yeah, they talk about jerk-ass Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen in the earlier seasons used to be great, but now he became jerk-ass, as the character evolved. They started making him drunk drive a lot more.
Yeah.
How often does Homer drunk drive in the show?
Oh, quite a bit.
Haven't.
Yeah. But no one dies. No one can die in The Simpsons. And when someone does die, they make like a huge, big effing deal, media push about it. Didn't they do that with recently? They're like, some major character's gonna die. Who's it gonna be?
I don't remember. I don't know who the last character to die prominently on The Simpsons was. Everyone remembers Maude Flanders. But that was very cynical because the lady who voiced her wanted more money. And they were like, nah, we'll just kill you off. Yeah, that's fine.
Wow. Man. Well, that sucks. What happened to that lady? Let's follow her career.
I forget what her name is. It's not Pamela Hayden. Is it Pamela Hayden?
She became so depressed after Maude Flanders killed herself.
No, it was Maggie Roswell.
Did her career suffer from that? Did they blacklist her?
I wonder. She returned to The Simpsons eventually, but I don't think she got the money she was asking for. But did her career? Well, it looks like she hasn't done a lot besides The Simpsons, but that's a pretty steady gig. Yeah, her last TV credit is from 1998 on Wikipedia, and it's Venus on the Hard Drive, which is, I don't know what that is. She was the voice of Venus, apparently, but I really want to look this up because, I'm sort of a bit of an animation nerd, and I've never heard of this show before. Venus on the Hard Drive, a comedy series. Wow, this has some very early 3D animation, and it's part live action, it's part 3D animation. It's Venus on the Hard Drive. I love this title too. Venus is so on the IMDb page says Venus is a sexy compute program designed to steal government secrets. When capitalized best friends Harry and Oz find her hiding in the final level of a game, they stay with them. I don't think that the person who wrote this Venus on the Hard Drive article was firing on all cylinders here. Hilarity ensues when she causes Harry and Pam to break up and gives Oz $90 million.
That's a low blow. I wrote the IMDb entry for Venus on the Hard Drive during one of my notorious driving and drinking sessions.
While you were drinking and driving. Well, I think you should revise it. This is really your responsibility.
Well, the problem, you know what happened with that show was I was actually working for it, and I was on the set, and the reason why it didn't really go anywhere is I kept killing everybody drinking and driving on the set. I just kept running over people left and right. I had a big Cadillac. One of those big Cadillacs, like with a fuzzy steering wheel. It
takes up 2 whole lanes of a highway.
Oh, yeah. Very big.
One of the wide Cadillacs.
Very brown. Leather seats. One of those, like, a shifter knob thing.
Yeah.
I had the skull.
Dick-sucking robot.
I had the skull.
Got one of those dick-sucking robots. Yeah. Oh, you had the skull on your shifter.
On my shifter knob was the skull. It was very cool.
Did it have little diamonds in its eyes?
And teeth. Eyes and teeth. Diamonds.
And you were constantly cutting yourself on the diamonds while shifting.
Ow, yeah. I was like, fuck.
And you were drunk all the time, so you couldn't be careful about it either.
No, it was very sloppy, too. Very sloppy.
So it's just drenched in blood. Your stick shift is just drenched in blood
and
constantly.
Beer. Yeah.
And beer, yeah.
What was I drinking?
2 Bs.
Yinglings? Oh, God. After when you're on 11 out of 12 Yinglings, it starts to taste like the weirdest brown water. You're like, what the heck? This brown water tastes funny. Why am I in a Cadillac?
There's something funny about Yuenglings. It is the most generic beer imaginable. Because, at least, I could pick out, drinking a Miller High Life. It's the one that tastes really like bread. Or like a Pabst Blue Ribbon, because they taste like soda. But Yuengling doesn't particularly taste like anything, in my imagination. It's up there as, one of the great generic beers, with Molson in Canada. Molsons are very generic.
Yuengling kind of tastes like the inside of a shoe that, someone whose feet are kind of not really offensive, but it's kind of got that leathery foot thing going on. Sorry.
Well, who doesn't like a leathery foot thing,
Yeah,
that's the two best fetishes, the two most popular fetishes.
It's not my favorite. It's confounding to me why I would ever drink it. I think just to switch it up, just to have some variety in my life.
It's cheap. It's better than Mountain Brew.
It's better than Milwaukee's Best, which is basically what Mountain Brew was.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying you were thinking some Adam Curtis style thoughts. That was intriguing.
Adam Curtis style thoughts. Well, it started off. I made one of my gay comics, my patented gay comics, a couple weeks ago. I'd gotten into an argument with my dad, and I was feeling really low because his recent turn to Catholicism has caused him to start embracing ideas that could, if expressed to their fullest extent, be harmful to me. So I was really mad at him for that. We've since talked it over and sort of massaged some of the tension away. But after the argument, I was feeling, pretty low because it sucks when you're like, I am your creator, and your creator deems you unclean and unworthy. The religion that I have tells you that you are lesser than, so. And, he doesn't say it like that, he says it in a different way, and he says it with, it's strange, the love of, a homophobic parent to, a gay child, where they're still, expressing the fact that they love you and they would do anything for you, but in the back of their mind they harbor an idea that is also counter to your existence. So it's a very strange feeling. But, what I wanted to do for myself was just make something that expressed my desire to not be a creation of others, to not be have an identity foisted on me, or not have a prescription of my goodness or my soul foisted on me. So I made a cartoon that was ultimately ended with "You create yourself" as its message, which some people took as a call to individualism. Which is not what it meant, but it was phrased in such a way that it was easy for people to see that, see it as sort of almost what Satanists believe, which is that, the primacy of self, and that self is the driver of all things, and, or even someone compared to it to Ayn Rand, and I got mad at them. I called them dull-minded, which I shouldn't have done, because they were being nice. They were just having an opinion, and I regret that. And I did apologize to them online. But it got me thinking about individualism just as a major contributor of our woes in society. Because, Adam Curtis, especially with his latest one, sort of avoided political prescriptions, words like communism or anarchism, or he would avoid speaking of that. And he talked more broadly in terms of these countervailing forces of individualism and versus communityism, not communism, but individualism versus group mentality. I'm not phrasing it correctly.
Communalism?
Collectivism. Okay. Collectivism. Individualism versus collectivism would be... And he sees these as, more so than specific political movements, he sees these as these two countervailing philosophies that define conflict in the 20th century and currently. And I think part of his thesis is that, especially in the West, not just in the West, but all over, individualism sort of won as a philosophy. It's a lot easier to pitch to people, too, because it means that you don't have to think about anyone but yourself. All you have to do is work on you, and if you work on you, then the improvements will come. It's sort of like personal trickle-down theory. If I succeed, then I will be able to, sow my success into other people. And I think, this individualistic attitude is sort of at the heart of our current malaise and our current atomization and our societal difficulty in relating to people or coming up with collective group projects. This sort of philosophy at the heart of our culture, the power of one, or the great man theory. Everyone aspires to be these great people, but really what you should be doing instead is investing your time in improving the lives of others, because, as every religion and every philosophy eventually says, it's good for your brain. That's the best thing for your brain, is participating in a community and building something with them and being able to ask for help from people, and it sort of, it pained me greatly to think that people took like a message of like, you are an island, you are a rock, you can do whatever, you are the willpower, that's not what I was expressing. I guess it was in some ways, because there's a very attractive quality to individualism, one that we want to preserve in ourselves. I think part of our souls need this idea that, if not unique, there is something about us which justifies our existence. There is something about us that no one else can do, because if you're like totally redundant, how do you feel good about yourself? I think that's sort of like, even like being an identical twin would fuck with me in this way, because it's like, it sort of feels like you're redundant. And you see a lot of identical twins striving to define themselves against each other.
Well, but you're expendable,
Yeah, there's one more of you. Yeah.
There's a backup.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about these countervailing forces of individualism and collectivism, and I sort of think about the popularity of superhero media, specifically of super teams, and sort of what I got out of X-Men, especially X-Men, I think, because X-Men is very popular with gay people. Bryan Singer, the maligned Bryan Singer made the gay parallels of the X-Men story obvious. It's about found family, but more so, it sort of like provides a way of how we can think about a synthesis of individualism and collectivism in a way that is pleasurable to people. And I think the recent popularity of superhero media is because it sort of posits, especially like the Avengers movies or things where there are team-ups and stuff like that. What it posits is a world where everyone sort of gets to retain their identity, retain something special about them, but they are all integral to the group in some way. They are made better by participating.
Kind of like how Super Smash Brothers works.
Yeah, sure. No, but these a much more universal example would be sports teams, especially sports teams that don't rely on one specific superstar, but rely on like a field of talent that have different abilities. It's that sort of idea of defining yourself as an individual, but still within the collective purpose of the group's success. I think that's what we need, or that's what we're aspiring to. That's like the great ideas of the 20th century are sort of fusing together in this way, and we haven't figured out a way to do it practically, but we figured out a way to represent it in its most basic and simple form, which is those like superhero team-ups or anime team-ups, or sports team-ups,
or Super Smash team-ups.
Yeah. Or Super Smash team-ups, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, even like multiverse media, too. It's all about finding the different versions of yourself and them coming together in order to make something. The unique within the collective, the special within the unspecial. And I think the problem with superhero media now is that people have been given this message over and over and over again. People have been given the synthesis, but without any sort of real application to the real world or what is happening around them. And after a while, painting this optimistic picture becomes exhausting when you don't see it around you anymore. You just see the continuation of this hegemonic, suicidal individualism that our society is currently based on. I'm trying to think of, like, I think that was, like, even like a criticism of the Zack Snyder movies was that they are more, or the Zack Snyder Superman it is more nakedly individualistic. It is more about sort of aggrandizing a great man than it is necessarily about focusing on his helping of people.
Well, he's not a man. He's an alien.
He is an alien.
Right?
He's not even a man. He's not even a goddamn man.
Do they talk about God in Superman at all? Like, is Superman just like, is it science based?
Well, yeah. I mean, they talk about God in Superman. Everyone calls him a god constantly, and there's. In the first episode of the Superman animated series, Lois Lane, played by Dana Delaney, says, he's the Nietzschean ideal wrapped up in a big red cape, which they said in a kid's show. I was very surprised that they dropped Nietzsche in the Superman animated series pilot episode. But yeah, there's been a lot of understanding of, what makes a god But, Superman, conversely, I think what makes Superman great is his commitment to collectivism. Is like in the best versions of the character, he has this selflessness where he has been given great power as an individual, but it means nothing if he cannot protect the group. That's always sort of the struggle of Superman, and sort of why Man of Steel was received so poorly, because it's like about Superman being neglectful of the group. It's about him destroying Metropolis in a big battle in order to settle a personal score, albeit one that threatens the rest of the Earth.
Sorry, I just totally tuned out. What? Superman's about what?
Superman's about what? I mean, Zack Snyder too. I like Zack Snyder. He comes across as great in interviews. He seems like a genuinely good guy, and it's funny that he really likes Ayn Rand, but not for its philosophy, just because he likes The Fountainhead as a story, which I agree with. The Fountainhead is a pretty good story.
That's the one where, I know how, that's the one where the government is like, we're going to replace all the fountains with low flow fountains. And there was like a pathetic display of fountains.
Yeah.
With like little spurts of water. There's hardly any force to the fountains, and the water shows.
Yeah, it's
no
like
good.
Jizzing after you've already jerked off 4 times that day. It just burbles out,
and so
lacklusterly.
The main character is named John Dumbass or something, and he's like, I'm an individual, and I'm going to create a powerful fountain, and then that's why individuals and I'm very positive, and so that's why we're called positivists. And then
that's true. That's exactly true.
And then the Fountainhead is over, and then by Ayn Rand.
Well, I mean, what's interesting about the Fountainhead is because the main character is Howard Rourke, right? And he is a constantly maligned architect. He has the best visions, but the people in the big architecture community who conspire with the government, they're against this guy. He's too radical. He's too bold. But, he sticks to his principles out of his own detriment. This character is like a way more universally relatable character than John Galt or someone or Dagny Taggart, who are these big special superhero characters. Howard Rourke is sort of like, I think, how a lot of people picture themselves, which are misunderstood geniuses, who I think that's it. There's this great Calvin and Hobbes strip where he's talking about, I'm a misunderstood. Yeah, I think a lot of people think that they are secretly, there is some special power that they have that is just waiting to be unlocked or waiting to be noticed. I think that's why that's such a common fantasy.
I conceive of myself as tragically dumb. It's like so much potential. It's just he's just a little too dumb.
Yeah.
Can't do too dumb, poor thing. That's funny. So yeah, I know. I mean, I guess I didn't identify as Calvin in that comic, but a lot of times I would identify as Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hobbes definitely thinks he's a genius, but most cats are like that. Most cats think they're geniuses.
I identify with Calvin because I'm just pissing on stuff all the time.
Oh, come on. That's not allowed. Bill Watterson released some new material recently. He
wrote it, but he didn't illustrate it. The illustrations are done by a guy whose name I don't recognize, but looks very cool. Like it's a horror story about a medieval plague, which I'm into.
Yeah, so good for you, Bill Watterson. I guess he had a bill to pay, and he was like, I know what I can do.
Yeah. He all of his drunk driving injury money.
Hey, do not besmear the good name of Bill Watterson, the most beloved cartoon artist in the world right now, who's probably ever right now. You know?
Yeah. I don't think you can't really find anything problematic about him. He created a work of continuing beauty that every generation discovers and finds new things within it. There's sort of like the magic of Calvin and Hobbes was that it was both, gentle and lyrical and about our relationship with nature, but it's also sort of sarcastic and cynical, so that it's not overbearingly treacly like some other comics.
Well, I'm glad kids are going to read it so they can see what life was like for kids with TV, because Calvin's relationship to TV is hopefully instructive. Because before smartphones were the big bad thing, TVs were the big bad thing.
Yeah.
And parents were like, "Oh, my kids are just glued to the TV all the time," and they're always trying to get us to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "What if this isn't sports? It's you're playing with guns," and they would give us guns, and then we would go shoot people, and they were just doing that so we would run around.
Yeah, dance. That's how it's like those westerns. It would be funny if they had a nightclub where everybody had guns and was just constantly shooting at each other's feet and going dance, dance, dance.
Yeah, they do that in Texas. That's like the those bars where they wear the cowboy hats and they do the line dancing in Texas.
Yeah,
they have They have a lot of guns there.
Yeah, that tax, because if there's anything I associate with Texas, it's guns. And Joe Rogan's $900 a ticket comedy club.
That's how much tickets cost to see a Joe Rogan comedy special?
Well, no, they cost that much because, he's got a big fan base in the Austin community, I suspect, of like I don't know who listens to Joe Rogan. Like all the tech bros moved to Austin. There was this big push to move to Texas, especially from people like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, because of the idea that there were less taxes there. So
I hope they like being very hot.
Yeah, well, they were in California already. It's not that different.
I guess parts of California get pretty brutally hot. Yeah.
But Joe Rogan made an anti-woke comedy club, which is. Are there woke comedy clubs? Are there comedy clubs too woke nowadays?
Yeah, there's there's ones that are very much that way. Oh yes.
Yeah, I guess so. Apparently, people were clamoring for an anti-woke one, where I think there's some weird rules for it. Like if you heckle, you instantly get kicked out or something like that. Or it's like
that sounds like censorship. That sounds
yeah.
That's not cool. That's like, wow. What about my rights?
Yeah.
I have rights.
Everyone wants to go to the anti-woke comedy club because tickets sold out instantly and they started scalping for as high as $900. I think you should be able to bring a gun there, but not use it. You should only use it to make the comedians dance.
Well, what if you go there? What if you got to bring a gun? Because what if some crazy blue-haired liberal comes in shooting with their little puny little pink gun that's made for ladies?
Yeah, their guns are much smaller and more ineffectual than the anti-woke guns.
Yeah, we got the big guns, with like 50 caliber Desert Eagle made out. And
great! They've made guns woke now.
They have. Now
Are they putting little rainbow flags on the guns? Some gun owners are like protesting. I mean, I am not going to wear the guns.
I mean, to be honest, yes, gun manufacturers do cater to like your blue hair hippie socialist, and you can get guns with anything you want on them, dude.
You can get the Hello Kitty gun.
You can get the Nintendo has licensed its own gun now.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there a Nintendo gun?
Oh, yeah, of course. Do not fact check me. Stop typing.
I'm looking up the Nintendo gun.
Stop typing that into your computer.
I'm looking at it.
Would I lie to you on a nationally syndicated podcast?
It is nationally syndicated. That is true. Both of those words apply. to what this podcast
There's a
is.
Nintendo gun, okay? I swear.
I'm sure somebody has carved the Nintendo logo into the butt of their gun, which is into the side of their gun, which is a very funny thing.
That sounds like the kind of thing that would happen in the Iraq War. Right? Like for some reason, a nerd who loves Nintendo volunteers after 9/11, and then they get there and they hate it, and they carve a Nintendo controller into the butt of their rifle.
Yeah, it's just like it's ironic, like in Full Metal Jacket, but it uses references that we know now.
Where's our Iraqi Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah, where's our group of Marines having just torn up a village, walking through the ruins and singing Gangnam Style? Instead of the Mickey Mouse Club theme song, they're going
Wapam Gangnam
Gangnam Style. Yeah,
oh.
yeah. I guess that's not 2004. I guess they would all be singing "Bring Me to Life" by Evanescence or something like that.
Probably Outkast. They probably might be singing Outkast.
Yeah,
I'm
they
sorry,
just
Miss
tore
Jackson.
up an Iraqi village.
Yeah, they're probably singing "I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson."
I am for real. Yeah, that would be ironic. I don't think that is the equivalent of the Mickey Mouse Club theme song in 2004. They would be singing the Pokemon theme song. I want to be the very best.
It could be doing Britney Spears. If they're doing Britney Spears, got the Mickey Mouse Club connection.
Right, yeah. Oops, I did again. They're singing humorously.
That might be ironic.
That could be a little ironic. It's ironic whenever they use an innocuous pop song during a scene of violence in movies.
Yeah. It's better than using sad music.
Yeah, when in Reservoir Dogs, when during the ear cutting scene, you want to hear a light song. You don't want to hear Joni Mitchell. That would be weird if you did that. You don't want to hear Blue.
But I mean, listen, if I was getting my ears cut off, I'd want to listen to something that's good, something that's tasteful, that meets the moment. Maybe some Delta blues.
Yeah. A little Robert Johnson in there.
Yeah. I think
Some
that'd be
classic. Ear cutting music.
Let's not explore that. That sounds,
let's not go into that. So also what got me thinking about superheroes is because the Shazam sequel came out and it's just fucking tanking. And if Black Adam wasn't the canary in the coal mine, this should be the canary in the coal mine for like superhero media and its general popularity. I think people are growing tired of this trope. Especially because, even though I talk about the individualism within the collective of superhero media, it is still very much based on great man theory. You as a single person, if afforded power, would be able to change things for the better. I think it's significant that superhero movies reach their peak with Obama, right? Because Obama is like this example of like the power of one. This guy is and him alone is so uniquely articulate and charismatic that he is able to, rise everything up. And by his power, we are, made better. And that idea was so prevalent. He won a Nobel Prize for not really doing anything. Which is fine, A Nobel Peace Prize, I guess, for being the first black president, even though, which is especially funny, considering his drone strike record and its continuation of many wars. And, probably his most famous accomplishment being the killing of Osama bin Laden, which is, not exactly a peaceful guy, Not exactly Captain Peace. But it's not like you could have... They should have done catch and release with Osama, I think, just to show him who's boss, be a little humane about it.
Well, I mean, I guess the other alternative was stick him in Guantanamo.
Yeah.
Which I
think he learned his lesson,
You do? You think he learned when he got 2 in the forehead, he learned his lesson?
Yeah, I think, just before that moment, he was like... I was so off about all of this, I just realized, Wouldn't
What?
that be funny if he had this like life-changing epiphany immediately before getting shot?
Do people have
in the face?
epiphanies anymore? Even do they even have them?
Did they even are epiphanies being made anymore? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can have them because people are on too much goddamn Adderall. And they're watching their goddamn
no, they're
TikToks.
not. They're apparently not on it because they can't find it.
Yeah, there's that big Adderall shortage that's been happening.
I think the doctors overprescribed it a little bit during the pandemic. I think the doctors went a little bit on like the erring on the side of overprescribing everything. You know, get people hooked, get them happy, get them through 3 years of being inside, and then let them loose on the economy. We're gonna have a real big booming economy. Oh, no, we're not.
Well, yeah, I think there is an over demonization of Adderall. It is medicinal. It's many people I've talked to and who use like pretty low doses of it are talk about how effective it is. I don't want to demonize Adderall, especially because there's been that pushback of like, well, Adderall is just meth. No, it's not. Shut up.
Right, it's meth over time, released slowly. Come on, you idiots! It's slow.
You know
it's slow release, extended release meth.
Comedy plus time equals tragedy plus time equals comedy. Adderall plus time equals meth. I think is what
meth plus time equals Adderall.
You're right. Meth plus time equals Adderall.
Yeah,
because Adderall is really the comedy drug. You know, it's funny.
No, I don't know. I used to do it a lot in college. I would buy it. And it made me kind of go on these like Wikipedia holes that were pretty fun. Like Wikipedia adventures, but I'm talking about abusing it as someone who doesn't need it. Mm-hmm. Like there's a ton of drugs if you were not actually prescribed it, you shouldn't do. And I think that the reason why people make fun of Adderall is because a lot of people use it who kind of didn't really need to.
Yeah. But, I mean, ADHD, and it's like one of those things that's so hard to, like, know if it's actually you or just your phone, you know? Like, is it something chemically, internally within me that is causing this huge amount of distraction? Or is it, like, literally everything in your life, every piece of technology is designed to distract you and get you to watch it more, you know? I think for me, it was definitely understanding that the latter was the case. You know, I don't have focus problems in the way that a lot of ADHD people describe, but because I think all of our technology is giving us focus problems now. I think a lot of people are self-diagnosing as ADHD. Because when I see people with actual ADHD, it sounds like a fucking nightmare. It's like you literally can't complete any task. It's like it becomes nervous. You can't function. You become nervous at the most basic things. You can't function at work. It sounds like a real fucking nightmare. And that's just not my experience with it. Although I can't speak for others with self-diagnosed ADHD. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm just being paranoid or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's basically my understanding of it. It's like there's like a medical thing going on and you need that medicine, but also I think people were being overprescribed because of phone stuff and other things that shorten your attention span. But I was just talking about all drugs. I think doctors were like your GP, your general practitioners have gotten way more loose with like a lot of the mental drugs because of the shortage of psychiatrists. There's a gigantic psychiatrist shortage, so you have to go to your primary care provider for mental illness.
Yeah.
And so just started and then that was, they started doing that, they started prescribing it. So I don't know, it's probably legitimate diagnosis, or sometimes, at least some of the times.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I have no way of testing this or having any data on this, so it's just on what I'm feeling out with my anecdotal feelers.
So I see some like kind of, I don't know if it's conspiracy or anti-big pharma people talking about how they're annoyed because the questions. So now that the primary care providers do this with the mental illness drugs, they use these questionnaires to like sort of determine if you have it, if you qualify. if you to make the diagnosis. And so the anti-big pharma people are like, oh, these questionnaires were written by like people who used to work for pharmaceutical companies. Like, they're really simple and designed to get you to your drug or whatever. So who knows?
I mean, big pharma, it's such a funny broad phrase, because pharmaceuticals are interesting in that, yes, obviously big pharmaceutical companies are evil and will do everything in their power to maximize profit over actually distributing their medicine to people. But they also make products different from, like, say, Silicon Valley people. They make products that actually work. They make medicine that actually does function.
Yeah, there's some disputing that sometimes, but it's hard to tell if it's because of, they don't know how long it takes to do this, or if there actually is some sort of something about the profit motive that makes Pfizer, for example, make drugs that are maybe less effective. There's that whole conspiracy that they actually have a cancer vaccine.
I've heard that because many times.
Cuba has something similar to that for a certain kind of cancer. I don't know, and it's not being released here, so it's.
I mean, I would not be surprised of the depths of capitalist depravity that big pharma has, but also, people will use these arguments to say militate against vaccines, for example. It's like they want, even though the company is evil, the vaccines are good. You should take the vaccines. Sometimes an evil company can produce good things, like McDonald's, for example.
Yeah, well, McDonald's does have a philanthropic department, and they do good things too. Like, they send cheeseburgers to kids who are in comas.
Look, I was actually. That's funny. They force the cheeseburgers in their mouth. They're stuffing them down there.
Ronald McDonald shows up and he's like, "Can you put a little cheeseburger in his mouth? I know he's sleeping, but we need it for the photo op. Can you just put the cheeseburger in his mouth?"
I think they just liquefy it and put it into the IV. Look, I've been to the Ronald McDonald House. You do not want to go to the Ronald McDonald House. They wake you up at 4 a.m. They hose you down. They put you in a circle and they start yelling at you about all your faults, and they're all dressed as Ronald McDonald as well, and they're pointing at you with their big clown gloves.
You're going on a food strike at the Ronald McDonald House, and they end up doing a feeding tube with, what do they put in there? They put chicken nuggets.
They put the BTS meal. They put the different BTS sauces in there.
Yeah, they put the sauces. They put the Big Mac sauce.
They try to put the ice cream, but the machine is broken.
Oh, and the machine at McDonald's ice cream machine meme. Ice cream machine meme.
Yeah, people like that. That's relatable. Where I go to, the ice cream machine is always broken. I know that. These are things that I know.
Yeah. Someone built a whole website off of that. Where they located,
yes, you're right.
They located every single McDonald's ice cream machine and then could test if it was working or not by trying to place an order on that particular McDonald's website. So they built an automated system so you could see which McDonald's had a working ice cream machine. Technology has really improved all of our lives, Alex. Okay, it really has.
It really, I mean, that piece of technology is actually useful. It's not like Uber or something, which is just about making taxi cabs more expensive and less possible to live as a taxi cab driver.
Yeah, I mean, Uber's was supposed to have, the one thing about Uber that makes it useful is not anything about Uber. It's the fact that everyone has a smartphone.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, you can see it coming to you.
Yeah, that's good. But I think that is a bad feature. That feature has made everyone more impatient and more angry if you, can see your driver is dawdling somewhere. I know, even me, I, have the, be nice to service workers. You should be good to service workers because you're more fortunate than them. You have everything. And when I see if I deliver food and I see the little car on the app has stalled out somewhere, is delivering food to someone ahead of me, I'm like, you bitch, you motherfucker, you're screwing me on this after I tipped you 20%. You are going, even I get that fucking megalomaniacal attitude about it.
Yeah, they're probably smoking around your food. I don't.
Yeah, they're smoking. Those jerks are smoking around my food, making
Okay.
it smoky.
Listen, that happened to me, and I thought it was kind of gross. Someone smoked a cigarette while they were delivering my food, and I got my food, and it just reeked of cigarettes, and I was like, oh my God, I am never using this app again. And I never did. It sucked.
Yeah. I think also, yeah, just delivery apps in general, like, you can never feel good about yourself using a delivery app. You know, you always feel like you're like some lazy asshole or just some person that demands to be served by the servants.
I mean, there's a couple of places here that do delivery in-house still, and we will do that.
Yeah.
And that's better. That's always better. It's probably not even. I mean, I did that as a job. I was a pizza delivery driver, and I did not have a smartphone. This was, I think, 2010.
Yeah.
So instead of having a smartphone or a GPS, I had a giganto map book that I had on my lap at all times while delivering pizzas. And most of the time, I was just trying to figure out how to buy weed. So most of my coordination, like with everything going on, was like buying weed and consuming weed, like as much as possible. I think we were living together at this time.
Yeah, we were living together at that time, yeah.
And eventually got reprimanded, and I quit because of the weed stuff.
Hey, why does my pizza smell so much like weed?
Basically, people were complaining that their pizza smelled like weed. I had to deliver to the old folks' home, and there was a lot of complaints. Like, the pizza delivery driver smells like marijuana.
How can I enjoy my pizza when I know it has been touched by immoral hands?
I think I was 19. So I was so dumb and so confident.
Oh, yeah, that's great. It's nothing like that teenage confidence you have.
Yeah.
I wish I could recoup some of it, but not really, because it also makes you a huge asshole. I'm still an asshole. You know, I still, am petty, will do bad things, in my weaker moments I will be rude to people or mean to people, but I was so much of a piece of shit. I was such a big piece of shit when I was 20, Mm-hmm. We've talked about it before, how you get emotional at the "I used to be a piece of shit" sketch, and I think you should leave.
Yeah.
But I think about that. I was thinking about that more. And it's like, no, that's such a universal thing. I used to be a piece of shit too, and it brings me great sadness to think about the times when I used to be a piece of shit.
People can change, though. People can change.
Yeah. Yeah, the baby could like me. I'm not a piece of shit anymore. My hair's not slicked back anymore. But even especially my attempts at humor, my early attempts at humor in my 20s, which were very much influenced by edgy shit, I would like to think more so Wonder Chosen than South Park, but also equally South Park as well. But there was a great purchase around that time, especially like in the Obama era, when it felt as if we were, things have gotten more progressive, we're moving forward, we're improving, this is a sign of the light, so people felt more comfortable trying to push that edgy stuff because we had entered into this post-conflict Obama world, and I think that's why there was such a high purchase on that boundary-pushing stuff at the time, and why Tina Fey did all those blackface episodes of 30 Rock, It was just something that felt like you could get away with because we were objectively in a better society. But that has since waned. I think what the sticking point for a lot of people for that was the irony Nazis. Like, never before had Nazis used irony in order to achieve their goals, but around 2014 and 2016, they figured out how to do it, which was to use these same edgy jokes that were being made by people who did not have racist or nefarious intent. And they would say the same edgy jokes, but with the racist or nefarious intent. And they could cloak it by saying, "What do you mean? This is just a joke. Tina Fey does the same thing. What am I?" So I think that sort of spoiled the edgy humor thing for a while. Not until we can see some sort of measurable progress in society again will that stuff be as open or accepted.
And that all depends on the president next time, right?
Yeah. Well, it's got to. I think Biden will probably win re-election. I don't see like this big resurgence against him. You know, in the House race certainly didn't go in against Biden's favor in a lot. He's generally fairly popular. Like, what's his approval rating right now?
Well, 1,000%.
It's 1,000%.
1,000% and climbing, sir.
He got the St. Patrick's Day Ireland bump.
Yeah, there's that meme of him going around, like jumping off the staircase, doing an Irish jig or something.
Yeah, that yeah, and well, Joe Biden is not as entertaining as Donald Trump because no one is as entertaining as Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the most entertaining man on earth. Joe Biden is still entertaining, though, in a way that is necessary for political candidates now, since we've entered the entertainment era of politics, you know, where a candidate's... I mean, I say Obama is the one that really started the entertainment era of politics, where it became focused on less on substantive virtues and more on PR and media manipulation, you know. Even going back to Clinton, you know, the thing that won him with the election was it's the economy, stupid, right? You know, there is still at least a gesture of substantive policy making there. But with Obama, it became all about saying the nicest words or, you know, presenting an image of somebody that seemed like a good policymaker as opposed to presenting actual substantive policies that you could latch onto. And, you know, I think that carries forward in Obama's post-presidency, where more than anything else, he's a media guy. He's a producer of documentaries. He's a producer of content. I was watching The Last Dance the other day, and Obama frickin' showed up in it. You know, so there is this...
well, he knows about basketball.
Sure, he was in Chicago at the time. He knows about, but what did the fucking Barack Obama have to do with basketball?
He knows about, he's the president. He was the president of him. He knows about basketball in America. He was the president of basketball in Chicago. I think it's a good fit to have Barack Obama. Plus, he loves Netflix. Netflix loves Obama.
Yeah.
I love The Last Dance and Michael Jordan. I will defend it.
It's a great documentary.
Michael Jordan is my kind of guy.
A gambling bully.
Yes. Yes. And
yeah, he
yes,
rules,
and
actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and yet.
He's awesome.
I embrace his faults. I think his faults are make him even better.
I think, Michael Jordan does not... He seems like he definitely has flaws, but I wouldn't say he's like a bad guy or anything like that.
He just wants to be the best. Yeah.
Like no one ever was.
Like no one ever was. And he's can be brutal about that.
Yeah. Did you hear when like he insulted Chameleon Air? He had some like really nasty words to say to Chameleon Air or something like that. Maybe I'll pull it up because
that's gotta suck. If Michael Jordan says something bad about you, it's like, oh damn.
Chameleon Air shared that he once saw Michael Jordan at a party hanging out with Spike Lee, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and some other members of the Boston Celtics. If it was some other celebrity, the hip-hop star said he wouldn't have approached him, but it was his airness. This is from basketballnetwork.net. I don't know if this is a reputable website. I went over there and said, I don't want to be rude, but Mike, I just want to know if it's okay to get a picture. I understand. I kind of expected him to say no, so I wasn't mad if he said no. But the way he said it, he said, hell no, I ain't taking no picture with no, and the word that he said next I can't say.
Oh, no.
It's so sad for Chameleon Air.
Oh, no. Michael Jordan really was mean to him.
Yeah, it really took him to task. You know, that's... Oh, no. But yeah, he had that reputation for a while. I think, you know, it's also Michael Jordan must be getting asked to have pictures taken with him constantly. I don't know if he recognized Chameleon Air, but I imagine that shit would get irritating after a while. Like, even with my small amount of the people that I have following me on Twitter, you know, people will be like, when's the comic coming out in print? And I'm like, you fucking shut up! Stop asking me! I don't want to say that to them because they're being very earnest in there. But it's like when you have like 1,000 people who are constantly asking you the same question, you're gonna it makes you testy.
They're being like, you know, your fans are like, sign my boobs, and you're like, I don't like boobs.
I don't like breasts. I don't like them at all. Put them away. Yeah. Put them away.
Yeah. You're like Smithers, and all your fans are the big, beautiful women who are.
Yeah. I'm just going,
no,
I can't handle that.
That's one of the greatest images stills from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
We can kind of cap our episode, you know, with started talking about The Simpsons, or we're going to end talking about The Simpsons.
Yeah. Lots of good late periods. That's a late period Simpsons joke. A wonderful late period Simpsons joke about Smithers being so gay he is repulsed by the sexuality of women. Which is, you know, I like the joke, but there used to be a lot more of that in the gay community, sort of this performative hatred of women. Like even the term fish, the drag term fish, about looking fishy, about looking like a woman, is sort of negative because it's all about vaginas smell like fucking fish. You know, like cocks smell any better. Cocks also smell like fish. What the fuck are you talking about? No one's genitals smell good unless you're, you know, washing that shit like 3 times a day.
Yeah, you got to apply like different fragrances down there, you know. Like,
yeah.
I put horseradish.
Yeah.
I put wasabi.
Yeah.
I like them together sometimes.
You like the pungent smells. I imagine that would make your balls smell worse.
It's actually, the skin is so sensitive, it stings. I absorbed the wasabi in there. Yeah.
I bet if you did rub wasabi on your balls, it would hurt probably.
Oh, do not do this. Do not do
I got a jackass thing. You know, they already did the wasabi snort. Now I got to do wasabi balls.
Please make that House of Decline's debut on TikTok.
All right. Welcome to House of Decline, and this is Wasabi Balls.
And then we'll...
Ooh! Oh, no! This hurts so much! They're so spicy! Why did they make it so spicy?
Oh, it's too spicy. It is. It might be. I mean, it might be. You have to go to the hospital. You have to explain. It's a Chinese or a Japanese doctor. And like, you have to tell the Japanese doctor you put wasabi on your balls.
And he's like, it's not where you're supposed to put wasabi. That's
not supposed to do that.
Yeah. and I'm like, and I'm trying to like dance around the issue to try and not offend him. It's a type of green horseradish product. You know, I'm afraid to say it's Japanese.
Afraid to say it, yeah. Yeah, you're at the ER. Next to you is the kid in the coma who had the cheeseburger put in his mouth. He choked.
Yeah. John Cena's coming to visit him.
Now, is John Cena in any superhero movies? Has he been?
Yeah, he's Peacemaker. He was in Suicide Squad, and he has the.
And that's DC.
Yeah, that's DC.
Are they doing any better?
The Shazam movie just tanked. But James Gunn.
Is that DC's? Shazam is
that
DC?
Is DC.
Well,
Shazam
you can't say that Marvel's going to do bad then.
I think you can, because Quantumania also tanked comparatively.
What's that?
That's the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, the most recent Marvel movie that just came out. It only like barely recouped its budget, which is very bad for Marvel movies. Like, think about a movie like Captain Marvel, which is the most generic Marvel movie imaginable, and that shit made $1 billion. So the fact that they're only making $300 million on Ant-Man is like a very bad portent.
Very bad portent, my dude.
It's a portent, my dude.
Well, what are we gonna do? We're not gonna have any. They're not gonna have any movies left. We're just gonna have like A24 prestige horror movies.
For some reason, we're getting a lot of new trailers for big Hollywood comedies. There's that one where Jennifer Lawrence is hired by Matthew Broderick to have sex with the virgin son.
They did viral marketing that I fell for on that. They did some viral marketing on like Craigslist. They posted Craigslist ads or whatever of like, if you date my son, I'll give you this car. And then I saw that and I was like, haha, funny. And then that's actually viral marketing from the movie that's now being released, where they placed the same Craigslist ad date my son, haha, and it's Jennifer Lawrence, and she's totally a loose woman or something, right?
Yeah, I guess she's a little, she's a little uncouth. She's not the perfect lady.
Right. So she's like an escort even. Is she like actually a sex worker in the movie, or is she?
No, she's not a sex worker in the movie.
She's just
an unscrupulous, promiscuous woman.
Wow. Well, that's not going to do well.
I like J-Law. There was a huge backlash against her, but she's got genuine comedy chops. I have no doubt that she can be good in this.
Yeah,
movie.
there was like this huge backlash when she started to make waves about like not having her nude photos leaked, and then the media was like, "Fuck this person."
Oh, fuck you. We used to find you charming, and now you just want everything, you uppity lady.
Yeah, they're like, sounds like you're complaining. That's not a good attitude. And it's like, yeah, complaining about having sex crimes done to you.
It was also the thing where people started liking her because she would say sort of like off-the-cuff stuff. Yeah, she would say stuff that didn't seem rehearsed or was like a little bit catty, and that's why people liked her. And then she kept doing that, and just from overexposure, people decided the thing that we liked you for before, yeah, we hate you for it now.
Well, yeah, and also Hunger Games was crazy huge. Hunger Games was like a mania that swept the nation. It was so popular. It was like after Harry Potter, it was like the next thing that was like, whew, that's a big fandom.
Yeah, talk about another movie that struggles with notions about the primacy of the individual versus the collective.
Yeah, if you want to know more, we have a whole Hunger Games episode. You can search houseofdecline.com for Hunger Games. Listen to our Hunger Games episode, but this has been a wonderful episode. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's all we have time for.
All right, go to patreon.com/House of Decline. Subscribe now.